We got more B team. Okay, of course. Jeez, we got a lot of views today. Don't worry, everybody. We're going to be covering this story a lot today. We got about 2 hours and 20 minutes. If you guys are new, make sure you're liking the stream. And if you want to see a stream on Friday night, you better hit that Cash App. We're trying to see if Mr. Grippo is going to win EBI. And if Grippo does not win EBI, Josiah can no longer talk about Grippo on the live stream. So we're all kind of waiting for that. Anonymous CJI donor says, I was wrong. B team won. I'll keep this brief and discuss only the key points that matter. Although there is a lot more I could mention that adds to the point. Bullet number 1. If 5 double eliminations occur or any such instance where each team's final athlete are double eliminated, the team with more individual wins by judge's decision wins. Bullet 2. If tied on scorecards, the team whose athlete won the final bout wins. If the final bout is a draw, the win goes to the team whose athlete last won a non-draw bout. The first bullet point has New Wave winning. Okay, so there were 5 double eliminations. Okay, and there was a double elimination in the finals. Luke Griffith did not get tapped out in the finals. Okay, so by bullet 1, he says B team won. Oh, well, sorry. The first bullet has New Wave winning, but the second bullet has B team winning because it was tied and it went to the final bout or something. I don't know. And the final bout wasn't a draw, right? Was it a draw? Sorry. This is an inconsistency in the rules and why I thought New Wave had a case for being the winner. However, key information was omitted in the arguments made by New Wave. The one piece that matters is this from athletes' contracts. Okay, so they all had contracts. Maybe not Gable Stevens. Gable Stevens didn't look at his contract. These athletes didn't look at their contracts. Says 4.2. Athletes acknowledge and agrees that any inconsistencies or matters not specifically addressed in the CJI rules will be resolved, determined, and are nominated at the sole discretion of CJI. So if your guys are complaining about you can't win, when you see that it's determined and resolved and nominated by the sole discretion of CJI, well, they can do whatever they want. So same thing when you go to IBJJF. When they make a call, that's it. It could be the wrong call. It could be a terrible call. That's it. Whenever you're competing, it's very subjective by the people that are the referees and the judges. It's all subjective to what they think. So, you can't be upset. We're all human. And, based off that clause, they can say whatever they want. So you ain't going to get no fair competition. You think competing is fair? It ain't fair. It's always been that way. You got to go and win it to where nobody can complain about your win. They can't nitpick your win. They can't try to overthrow your win. You can't go in there trying to play the rules because the rules aren't for you to win. That's the way it is as an athlete. If you're competing, don't go out there thinking, "Oh, well, I'm playing by the rules." Screw the rules. You better tap some people out. You better dominate some people. Cause them rules gonna change on you. IBJJF will change some rules on you quick. They're gonna interpret them rules differently. CJI gonna interpret the rules differently. ADCC gonna interpret the rules differently. Who's number 1 gonna interpret the rules differently? Whoever tournament you go to, they can interpret the rules however they want. So you don't leave it to it. It's always been this way. Don't leave it to the ref's decision. Don't leave it to the referee. Don't leave it to the judges. You always got to have that mindset. So when you do get screwed over, you just got to take it. That's competing. That's just how it is. It says aside from this, the intent of Miha, the head judge, should Miha be the head judge? I don't know. I don't know. Well, he is. So, says the intent of Miha, the head judge in CJI, was made clear across all of the rules meetings. On the night of the event, when New Wave was screaming at CJI staff and judges, Andre Galvao was also screaming at the judges. and he says it was solely about scoring, which has been adequately explained by Miha and Craig in the recent YouTube video. We're going to watch that in a little bit. New Wave only latched onto the tiebreak rule inconsistency the next day, indicating even they thought last bout wins during the event. Otherwise, that would have been a key point on the night. I still don't understand their point. You know, New Wave was wrong. I did not know about Clause 4.2 of the contract. The explanations in the rules meeting, which I later got access to and personally watched, are New Wave's argument immediately after the event, not even mentioning the tiebreak rules. I jumped the gun before knowing all of the facts. Well, you did say you would give $1 million. I would still give the milli. If I said I was going to give $1 million, if I had the milli and I said I'm going to give the milli, I would give the milli. But, they ain't me. They not me. They anonymous. You guys know me. You can see me. You watching the stream for 3 hours. You talking to me. If I promised to give $1 million and I didn't give that milli, you guys, well, Alec, where's the milli? A million people will be on this live stream. You said you're going to give the milli, Alec. Now, anonymous donor can do whatever he wants. He good. He got money. That milli ain't nothing to him. Where was I? The tie break and the upset, misled. He says, now that I know the rules, I think B team won. I'm not giving the milli no more. The judges made the right decision, and New Wave does not deserve $1 million, nor do they have any claim to overturn the decision. So congrats to B team. My apologies to Miha, the judging team, and CJI. And now I'll go back to sitting down and shutting up with my $1 million. When you're rich, you can do whatever you want. And all these poor athletes, that's a Moneyberg talk. He said, all you poors over there complaining because you didn't get the milli. Well, too bad, too sad. It's should have read the rules. Should have read clause 4.2. I know you were stressed out and focused on competing well, but you didn't read the clause on 4.2. You know jiu-jitsu people can't read. What athlete you got reading the contract the night before the event? They can't read. They can't focus. They stressed out. They over there praying. As I said, Gordon is Santa Claus 4.2, determining if you have been naughty or nice. Well, I mean, it's your fault for trusting anybody to give you $1 million. I ain't trusting nobody to give me $1 million. Hey, Alec, you want $1 million? What you talking about? $1 million? What? Let me see the $1 million. Let me see that $1 million. LOL, New Wave screwed New Wave. Well, I mean, Gordon didn't help either. Gordon didn't help. He don't care, though. I mean, Gordon only cares about himself. Someone says, to be clear, I have not sent the $1 million to CJI to pay New Wave, and I don't intend to. I'm keeping my milli for myself. Can I have a little bit of that milli? LOL snap. I was going off the partial data they were putting out and my own misunderstanding and or lack of knowledge. I mean, if you didn't understand the rules, then the athletes definitely didn't understand the rules. I could see this being a mess of an event to really have run together and everything. So it was bound to happen. Somebody getting screwed. Well, they definitely got second place. So, I mean, what's the argument? Nobody else arguing. Lack of knowledge of the nuances of the rules meeting, and athlete contracts. It was a mistake. It was a mistake to post in the first place. Well, you did say you were going to get the milli. So, again, you do whatever you want, anonymous donor. You can do whatever you want. Now, if I said that with my face and my mouth and my voice all together, not AI generated, but real, you guys would be jumping on me. Alec, you said you were going to give New Wave $1 million. You guys would be on me all day, be hitting up my phone, hitting up the live stream, coming to me up in person. Yeah, you guys would be up. Now, anonymous donor can do whatever he wants. Jiu-jitsu athletes definitely can't read. Sitting through IBJJF referee webinars is proof. Yeah, I still haven't done that. But you know what? I'm going to complain when I get screwed by the referee, knowing full well I don't know all the rules that they changed for the year. And you know what? Some of the people I be fighting, they referees. They know all the rules. Let's see. It was a mistake to post in the first place. Why did you do that anyway? But I'm not going to stick to something based on bad information. It was bad information. I know I said I was going to do something, but it was bad information. So you know this person's not melanated. This person. You know what? I'm going to take back what I said. I'm not going to give the millie. You guys know I couldn't get away with that. Imagine that, bro. You guys would be on me quick. I'm unsubscribing, Alec. You said you were going to give $1 million. You didn't give the $1 million. You guys would be sending me hate mail. You guys would be following me around. Man, some people got it nice, bro. Well, I'm not going to give the millie. I wish I could. I don't have $1 million to give. I couldn't give you $1 million anyway. It was a mistake to post in the first place, and I'm not going to stick to something based on bad information that isn't binding. I don't know if it's binding. Maybe you might have screwed up. I don't know. LOL Snap said you might be getting sued, but I don't know. It's not about the money. It's about doing what's right and fair. Well, you said you're going to give it, so I ain't got $1 million. I don't know what you do. Whatever you want for your $1 million. You know what? I'll give my $2. That's about all you're going to get out of me. Maybe $10 if I'm feeling rich that day. If I'm feeling like Moneyberg, you get $10. I'm not gonna let a bunch of loud people complaining or threatening get rewarded for that behavior. Oh, so I think it is Gordon. I think Gordon did screw it up. Gordon, it's all your fault. You screwed the millie up, Gordon. It's all your fault. I'll be so upset at Gordon right now. Freaking Gordon, bro. That millie, Gordon ruined their millie. I'd be upset. I'd probably leave New Kingsway. I would just go to B team. I wouldn't even go back to Kingsway. I would just go over to New Wave, or not New Wave, B team or Simple Man, whatever their name is now. I'm not gonna let a bunch of loud people complaining or threatening get rewarded for that behavior. Yeah, it's Gordon's fault. Gordon screwed everything up. It's your fault, Gordon Ryan. You messed up the millie for your boys, man. And Gordon don't care. It says the donor lost too much money in the first place. I don't blame him for not wanting to go $3 million in the hole. Then you have the women. Don't say that part, LOL Snap. They should probably break a piece off for the ladies. Give the ladies some money. They deserve that money. LOL Snap. Go ahead and cancel LOL Snap. He over here saying misogynist stuff. Get out of here, bro. LOL Snap. Where's your wife at, man? Talking like this. If I did this, they'd be like, well, just say you're broke, Alec. If I said I was gonna give $1 million and I backtracked, they'd be like, well, just say you're broke. But they anonymous donor are gonna get treated better than me. It will be so much easier for me to pay, just like it would have been so much easier for Miha and the judges to score the last round 10-9, but that's the coward's way out. What was the score in the final match? I have no idea. We'll watch that video in a little bit. I gotta warm you guys up. I know you guys hate warming up, but we gotta warm up with some facts, some details, some comments. You gotta let me rant a little bit. You gotta let Josiah talk about Grippo for a second. You gotta let LOL Snap talk about whatever he wants to talk about. If you guys enjoying this live stream, make sure you're liking the video and tell people about this live stream too. What a roller coaster of emotions New Wave must be going through. And after John bought that, coat for Tony's wedding. If you guys haven't, go watch. If you guys haven't seen, please go watch Danaher's channel, or I think it's on Gordon. They got Danaher getting dressed up for the wedding, Gary Tonin's wedding. I don't know how long they're going to be married for, but I wish them, the new couple, all the happiness in the world. Says, I just busted out laughing at this comment. Broke the bank. It was from the Matrix set, I heard. And after that, buying that wedding rash guard. Says, it's hard to even find a tailor willing to work with Lycra or something like that. It says, he's been wearing that. He's been wearing that coat to big occasions for generations. That Louis V belt, though, maybe it's a fresh purchase. Someone says, I love Burlington Coat Factory. You go in there with $645 and you're literally a king. So just so you can see Danaher. Daddy Danaher was he was sharp that day. Look at him. At least he put a coat on. Oh, that's Brian Glick. That's who that is. I don't know who that guy is. That's Danaher. Look at Danaher, bro. Look at his shoes. All right. I don't know what to say about our fashion sense in this sport. We got terrible fashion sense. Where are all the hype beasts, the fashionistas in here? We need some more fashion in this sport. Says the $1 million curse by wearing a coat has been born. Somewhere in Texas back alley, an unknown assailant in a leather jacket and dress pants was spotted taking baseball bat to Luke Griffith. Gordon's Instagram stories are about to be broken keyboard heard around the world. Maybe Moneyberg will put up $1 million for New Wave. $1 million. I don't think they're getting that milli. It's the least he can do. I wonder if Gordon is, well, Moneyberg already sponsoring a lot of those guys. He's sponsoring Big Dan, and Luke, and John Carlo, and Mergali. He's sponsoring the whole team. I wonder if Gordon is brown-nosing Moneyberg because he hopes to have a Gordon Ryan Invitational with Moneyberg sponsoring the cash prize. I don't think Gordon's ever going to do that. Gordon is brown-nosing Moneyberg because Moneyberg pays him to plaster his coin on the side of his truck. That's true, Gordon, let me stop. We got Craig over here. He says, I'm Craig Jones, and I can vouch this is one of our investors. All right. Can you guys see that? Let me zoom in for you. People that can't see, there you go. Craig Jones says that is the investor. One of their investors. All right. You guys see it right there. All righty. Someone says, really disappointing. I thought we were talking to John Belushi's actual mom this whole time. No. Is that his picture? Says that used to be a good hairline. When you finally reveal the sponsor, I hope it includes an announcement that they've earned a black belt in 2 years and you're wearing their t-shirt. What kind of timeline are we living in? Reddit post from Millionaire Investing and BJJ. I need another nose beer. Don't do the nose beer, people. Is it true you submitted Chell? You made him watch 2 entire seasons of How I Met Your Mother in the hotel room. Has Gordon cried about this online yet? We're going to see what Gordon is saying. Someone point me in the direction of his tears, please. Someone says, what TF is going on? This is the funniest possible outcome. Thank you for all you do. Just one giant finger to Gordon and New Wave. Craig can't resist the opportunity for a petty troll, and I love it. Autism is definitely diagnosed by the shoes. Maybe, yeah, we all screwed in jiu-jitsu then. Let's see. Jumping the gun with 1 million publicly without all the facts. Then to go, never mind. Never mind. I was wrong, and we shouldn't spoil them. Also publicly really shows how wealthy this person is, along with how they must frequently be in a position of power. I don't know who it is. Could be anybody. So someone says jumping the gun massively and then saying, I feel I was actively misled. It's hilarious. Maybe do research next time. Nobody's doing the research. I think he should pay New Wave. Even though they lost, it's pretty bad to say that you'll give them something and then change your mind after a week. 100% after announcing it publicly all over, make you a POS to the grapplers who it's life-changing money for. I feel bad for New Wave. Maybe if Gordon shut his stupid mouth, his teammates would have been paid $1 million. Gordon lost him $1 million. And that would have been the end of it. I'm not saying Craig was petty enough to try and convince the investor to rescind the offer by responding to the controversy, but Gordon's incessant crying for days after the fact did not help. So it said, dang, dudes getting married, announces babies and stuff while thinking they're going to be getting $200K. Ouch. No $200K for you guys. Gordon's pregnant? No. Danaher might become the serial killer we always suspected he is, or Gordon is already in his truck searching for him. Good timing dropping this after Gary's wedding as well. Yo, just wait, Josiah. I can't wait for Friday. It says, it's okay, New Wave. I am also an anonymous donor, and I'll give you $1 million. I don't trust that guy. If somebody saying they're going to give you $1 million, don't trust them so easily, people. Did New Wave get paid already? Nope. It's kind of sad in a way to say, actually, we going to give you the cash and then take it away, seemingly to spite Gordon. Says, LOL, the thought of notification going off and the wedding slowly going quiet and everyone turning to look at Gordon. What's everyone looking at? He says, well, Wagner already thanked Jesus, so you're going to have to take it up with him. I'm nowhere near a New Wave fan, but this is really a bad look. Publicly coming out like a white knight into backpedaling and hurting the event. Honestly feels that this is more of a coward's way out than actually paying the money. Especially if you're admitting that you were wrong on your first take. What a joke. What a crap show. The event was more focused on jokes than it was on the actual sport. I can understand if New Wave feels salty about this. They were promised the money and now it's taken away again. Says, dude, I don't care how much money you have. If you say you're going to pay people $1 million, then you rug pull them. You're a POS. Full F you. I got to edit this. This is a family show. You didn't have all the information. That's not the athlete's problem that you made a bad call. Don't promise things that all these athletes who probably have made financial decisions as a result of and spent in their head already are now going to get messed over by. And screw you. It's not legally binding. It's the right thing to do. Cope BS. You said you were going to pay them. The right thing to do is pay them. It's your fault that you jumped the gun and promised the money without all the facts. That's your problem, not the 5 athletes you just majorly effed over. This is coming from a B Team mega fan and Danaher hater, by the way. Totally classless if any of this is true to publicly state you're going to pay New Wave $1 million and then walking it back. That's super messed up. You know what? This just keeps generating views though. So maybe he's like, well, I was wrong. He might backpedal some more. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. You know what? I wake up and I'm like, what's happening in this sport? And then, I see what's going on and, I make my thumbnails and then I'm talking about it for 3 hours. two more hours. CP, you on the stream, bro? I'm looking for CP. He not on here. Says it's understandable that the donor is a private individual and strictly saying is not obligated to anything unless it's put on paper and signed with a witness present. But this is like seeing somebody hitting a jackpot in the casino only to find out later that casino claimed it was a glitch and see a joyful winner turn into a poor loser. If the point of this event was to inspire athletes to keep being independent, push for pay increase, and not sign with Dana White, and not sign with the Dana Whites of the world, now every time a Dana White or whoever will be sitting down with an athlete in the room, this would be something he points to. Like, look, mate, we might be paying not that much, but at least with us, you are getting your money for sure. No roller coasters, no circus, no empty promises, no going back on our word. So that might be pretty enticing to some athletes. Getting paid what they say they're going to pay you, that seems pretty enticing. So I just see more drama ensuing with the UFC and CJI and whoever else events. So I don't think it's the best look at all for CJI, and I like CJI. I just don't think it's the best look. It's tough, man. It's tough out here. So it's a real shame if new CGI if the new CGI was to happen, I would expect athlete participation to plummet. People in general get very skittish once individual whims and moods enter the conversation. I mean, that's the same thing for those other events too. You think you're not at the mercy of Dana White's whims and moods? No. Every combat sport, fight sport, it's a dirty avenue. um, that's why I like streaming. Pretty fun. The conversations about money and rewards. Does not matter that in this case it's a consolation prize, not the real one. So good for athletes that are getting paid, but I would view this as a net negative for the sport. And that's a big debate we've been having on this channel, is if jiu-jitsu can really become a professional sport and if it's sustainable. So I still have questions about that. I don't know. Says, wow, an event designed to bring more credibility to the sport and attract the attention of top athletes turns into a total crap show. I'm not saying the S word. With the end result being decided by we do whatever we want. We we do whatever the F we want clause. Everybody's got that clause in their tournament. That turns out to mean we decided it based on a decade-old pissing match between the namesake of the event and a fighter who wasn't even involved. Great effing job, guys. This will certainly make people take us seriously. I can only assume Craig fakes I can't say that part. I'm not going to say that part at all. Sad turn of events. New Wave are right to be angry, and they were very wronged with how it all went. This is a very poor job by CJI. They set up the event so they can pick up the cash, and everyone else just a puppet for their uses. I don't know about that. Jerry Lou, he says, best look would have been giving New Wave money, but then addressing that he agrees with CJI about decision and keeping B Team victory. I think they should just do that, and they need to cut off a little bit of money for the girls. So a lot of this didn't happen, so it's going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths. No Diddy. Someone says, thanks for the clarification, but it's such a S show. Very little jiu-jitsu, a lot of drama, and opposite to CJI 1, lack of professionalism. Professionalism in this sport? Get out of here. What professionalism do you think you're getting in this sport? You're not going to get professionalism. You want professionalism, go to judo. They actually will take you probably. We designed a rule set with 2 tie breaks. Give one team the first place and a milli. Oh, sorry. Give the other team a milli too. I says, dang, sorry again. Actually, we're not giving the other team a milli. I'm sure, unlike Craig and Gordon, a person who earned such finances should understand the benefit of thinking thoroughly first. A lot of these people are impulsive. A lot of these ultra-rich people are impulsive. Especially when they're in Vegas. They're gonna waste that money regardless. Thinking thoroughly first and only then speaking, or worse, taking action. Good thing you didn't actually send the money to New Wave before trying to withdraw them. Otherwise, it would be beyond ridiculous, even for BJJ standards of unprofessionalism. Can only imagine how much of a headache this whole mess was for OP. Don't blame him at all. All we can only hope for is that future promoters and BJJ will learn from these mistakes and not embarrass themselves like this. I think the donor has embarrassed himself. Do you guys think the donor embarrassed himself? Because I kind of believe that. I believe he embarrassed himself. It happens. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. It's just their mistakes are on a bigger scale. I don't think I want to read anything on here anymore. Someone says, poor Mika. Oh, wait. As much as I dislike Gordon, he is not the New Wave athletes. No, he's in charge. He's the king of New Wave. I don't know. Somebody just posted something. If you guys are trying to if anybody trying to sell out, you do that on your own. You're not going to convince me to sell out. You sell out on your own. You do it by yourself. Okay? Sell yourself out. As much as I dislike Gordon, he's not the new wave athlete. He isn't he the head of new wave? Kingsway. It's not even new wave no more. He's the king of Kingsway. You did promise them money. I can't imagine how them and their families are feeling right now. Adding a thought I just had, Giancarlo, like Luke Griffith, Dorian are not Gordon. I see Craig posting that Gordon didn't say thank you. Well, he's in charge of those guys. These guys do not deserve to be punished for Gordon's beat. Well, they are. He gonna get punished. These guys should not be punished for Gordon's beef with Craig. They all associate it. Nor do the guys unrelated to the team like Wagner and Mika. You promised to pay New Wave. Pay them. Let's have a more decisive one next year. Poor Mika. Guys seemed very appreciative of the money. He needs the money for his new baby. Babies cost a lot of money. Says, yeah, there is an insane amount of focus on a guy who did not compete or even coach in the event. Like, what does any of this have to do with a guy whose only involvement is some social media posts? What do you mean that's his only involvement? Says, man, this whole thing was supposed to somewhat squash the beef between the two groups. Instead, it's now going to elevate them to multi-generational enmity. I can't say that word. Yeah, how do you say that word? EMNITY. Enmity. Mika needs the money for child support. Yeah. LOL snap. No, I can see that happening. I can definitely see that happening. I'm hoping for the best for these two. You know what? They got to start marketing CJI 3. That's the issue. We need that. They got to market CJI 3. We're bringing back New Wave or Kingsway, whoever the team is. Whatever the reasons are, complete amateur hour by CJI. One moment you're announcing your prize, you're giving prize money to one team, then a week later you're rug pulling them. Stick to putting shrimp on the Barbie or whatever it is you do down under. Alrighty, so let's can we watch that video on the rule set? Give my voice a break. What the heck is that? Oh, that's not it. Give me 1 second. Let me find the video. Josiah, they coming after you online, Josiah. We'll get to that later though. Don't worry. We got Gordon. We got a lot of stuff today. Let me find the video first. All right, there we go. Craig, please don't hit me with a copyright strike, please. For the love of God. For the love of God, don't hit me with that copyright strike.
CJI 2. So guys, first and foremost, there was no bias shown in the lead up to the event whatsoever. The wild cards, I had one team complaining about a wild card and 2 wild cards, things like that. Guys, if I was going to be biased to my former team, DDS New Wave, I would not have given them Mika Galvao. I gave them Mika Galvao, who, in my opinion, is the #1 grappler in the world. If I had any stake in a personal hatred for them and I was invested in them losing this event, I would not have given them Mika Galvao. I want that to make that abundantly clear. Also, they did complain about Atos receiving 2 wild cards, so what did I do? Gave everyone 2 wild cards. Which team then took a 2nd wild card? Wagner Hosha. Now,
imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
What the heck? Wait a second. Oh, I'm in the wrong YouTube. Give me 1 second. Woo! I'm like, what the heck is this commercial? I don't watch commercials. You know I got YouTube Premium, people. I can't be watching no commercial. Josiah's cooked. Yeah, he not only is he cooked online, he's cooked on Friday. He cooked on Friday, Josiah. We're gonna see what happens on Friday, bro.
Now, to explain the brackets, which some people complained about.
Oh, there we go.
2
We're back.
teams.
What the heck?
Address the perceived controversy of CJI 2.
What account?
So guys, first and foremost, there was no bias shown
we're back.
in the lead up to the event whatsoever. The wild cards.
I'm an anonymous donor, but they pay me 15 per cup.
Wild cards, things like that. Guys.
What are you donating, bro?
If I was going to be biased to my former team,
Gianni Grippo.
I would not have given them Mika Galvao.
Once you go YouTube Premium, there is no going back. Yeah, not when I'm watching videos all the time.
Number one grappler in the world. If I had any stake in a personal hatred,
hopefully the stream doesn't go down, everybody.
Invested in them.
I ain't got the Craig Jones approval for this live stream.
Galvao. I want that to make that abundantly clear. Also, they did complain about Atos receiving 2 wild cards. So what did I do? Gave everyone 2 wild cards. Which team then took a second wild card? Wagner Hosha. Now, to explain the brackets, which some people complained about, 2 teams in the entire tournament had 2 wild cards, Atos and New Wave. So it was, in my opinion, the most fair option to put them on the same side of the bracket. What did I do in return for that? Well, I asked John Danaher who the 4th seed was. In my opinion, it would have been Australia or Daisy Fresh. John gave a summary of each, and he thought Daisy Fresh was the 4th seed. Instead of putting Daisy Fresh in the bottom position, I gave B Team first round, who John Danaher thought was the perceived 4th seed. Obviously, the top 3 seeds, B Team, Atos, New Wave. If you use 2 wild cards, you're on the same side. And I gave each of those teams, Atos and New Wave, the lowest seeded teams, which was the Americas, and it was Team Europe. On the other side, B Team, first round, give them Daisy Fresh, who John Danaher thought was the 4th ranked seed. And then obviously we had Team Australasia and 10th Planet in the bottom. That is my justification for the bracket. Had New Wave not utilized the second wild card, which in my opinion is a massive advantage, 2 wild cards, that would have changed how I bracketed it. So there is no bias in the bracket at all. I made that shit hard for B Team. New Wave, again, and I cannot emphasize this enough, would given Mika Galvao by me. Massive, massive advantage. Now, let's talk about why we use the 10-point must system. The 10-point must system rewards dominance and submission attempts. We use that so that it's not just match 1, match 2, match 3, win to this team, win to this team. We don't want people to coast to victory. We want to reward people for trying to dominate and finish their opponents, right? Everyone's confused because they were like, wait a minute, if we go to the final, New Wave won 3 matches, B Team won 2. Well, guess what? In a UFC title fight, you can win 3 rounds and still lose the fight. If you win 3 rounds by 10-9 and lose the next 2, 10-8, you lost the fight. You don't get to go out there and say, well, I won 3 rounds. No, you lost the fight. If you win the first 3 rounds 10-9, you then win a 10-8, then you win a 10-9, well, then you have a 47-47 scorecard. We did this again so that you would push the pace, try to dominate, and most importantly, try to submit your opponent. If your opponent was difficult to submit, we wanted you to be rewarded. The only caveat to that was if there was a massive size discrepancy, which did occur, the maximum amount you could win by would be a 10-9. I didn't want a Victor Hugo against a Diego Pato, where Diego literally potentially too small to do anything. Not saying he couldn't have a chance of victory, but I didn't want that to be too unfair. So I wanted that to be limited at a 10-9. We added that rule in. That was probably the only rule I changed at any later date, and that was still added very, very early. Now let's talk about the tiebreaker conditions, right? So CJI 1, we did 3 5-minute rounds for regulation periods. What I didn't want people to do was go out and win the first 2 clearly 10-9, and we did open scoring in that, so you would know you were up 2 rounds. I did not want you to be able to coast to victory in the last round and not care. If you got 10-8'd in the last round, that, my friends, is a draw. And the tiebreaker condition in a draw scenario is that the last round wins. Everything I did in shaping, molding the rule set for this event.
Mushmaster says that point system would have resolved all of this.
Get up in a perceived way and then coast to victory. We wanted to weight the last round heavy. Again, that precedent was set at CGI 1. The tiebreaker condition. All the coaches understood this from the very first meetings. It was always the case that we would do an accumulation of scores that would be revealed at the end. In the scenario at CGI 2 of Atos versus Europe, they didn't come out and say Andre Galvão wins 4-1. No, they read the scorecards. Each judge read the scorecards, their scorecards. They had to judge each round according to the 10-point must system. The 10-point must system is moot. It's useless if it's just match by match, or had we done that at CGI 1 round by round. That is the reason the 10-point must system was in there. And the reason the tiebreaker condition was applied to CGI 2 was it is a team event. Each match is a round, like a UFC title fight. So you can obviously win 3 rounds in a team series and still lose or go to a draw. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. When Team Atos beat Team Europe, which was 5 double eliminations, we announced the cumulative scorecard. We did not announce 4-1. So for everyone confused in the final, and I understand there's a lot of personal tension and people think there's perceived bias, whatever. New Wave won 3 of those rounds. But according to the scorecards, which Miha is going to explain why he scored it the way he scored it, he's going to justify whatever, well, not everyone, but a lot of people think, oh, there's something fishy go on there. There were coaches like John Danaher was instrumental in the rules meetings. He was instrumental in changing some of the rules, such as when you'd be penalized starting in a half guard position. John Danaher understood the rules. John Danaher coached GSP in many title fights. He understands the 10-point must system, I would say, better than any of the other coaches in this entire event because of his history with the UFC and his history in 5-round title fights. The tiebreaker condition was obvious and understood by all the coaches. And in the tiebreaker condition is that last round is very, very important. As Lachlan Giles suggested in his video, that's why you put an anchor at the end in a close team series, because the last round,
we gotta watch Lachlan's
in the event of a draw
video too,
will decide which team wins or advances. Now, Miha is going to explain to you why he scored, and not just him, but unanimously all the judges scored the final the way they did.
So let me come back to this video because that's a pretty long video, for us. A couple comments. Mushmaster says having a point system would resolve all of this. You mean like IBJF point system, or what do you mean point system? Like the ones we use in IBJF, or a different point system? Just people can't do math. I mean, you got to sit there and do the math in your head. All right, this judge gave it 10-9, 10-9, 10-8. Oh. Jason Whitfield says, I feel like taking the money away from New Wave is a bad look for everyone associated with CJI. I have to agree with you, Mr. Jason Whitfield. Even though we know you love Gordon Ryan and New Wave. You want to see those guys get paid. I want to see everybody get paid, for real. And throw the girls some more money, too, while you're at it. I will watch CGI from home next year. Craig said CGI was different. It sure sounds like the others to me. Oh, Craig. Craig, where are you, Craig? Mushmaster says they're taking the money back. We just read that a little bit earlier ago. The anonymous donor said he's not giving them that milli no more. He's taking the milli back. Let that be a lesson to everybody. If somebody's saying they're going to give you $1 million, get that in writing and get that money quick. Make sure you get that money before you leave Vegas next time. Dorothy Slipper says, I'm starting to realize CGI has been a long con for Craig Jones to troll Gordon Ryan into destroying his own life. Listen, Gordon Ryan doesn't need help destroying his own life. He's good at that. He can do that by himself. On says yes, LMAO. Nicky Rod, Big Rodded, Big Rod Bone, Big Rod. I'm gonna say Big Rodded. Luke Griffith way worse than Oliveras and Krenelstein. Well, if you're an athlete, you know you need to go out there and perform. Don't go out there and get crushed unless you're trying your best, you get crushed. That's different than, you're trying to coast. Mushmaster says this is a bad look. Mushmaster and Craig, they got some history. How can this have been impartial in any way? That is true. You got a point there, because that is, he said he was impartial because he let them have Mika and Wagner. I don't know. IBJF we always say this as competitors. Don't leave it up to the judges. Don't let anything be left. Do everything in your power to win those matches, And when you go to decision and you not going for submissions, Dorian Oliveira didn't go for a single submission. You not actively trying to finish people, and you not finishing when you get in good positions. Tangible criteria. You mean I guess you mean like IBJF. Well, that's true. The cool thing about IBJF, I know some of you guys don't like it. If we watch an IBJJF match, we can really dive into the details because we know the points and the time, the score of the points, the advantages, the penalties. I can have an in-depth breakdown or discussion about IBJJF matches. Now, when it goes to CJI or some of these other events, I can't tell you because the judge does judo or the judge did wrestling. He thinks this is scored better than that. So I do like that for IBJJF because everything's spelled out for you. You got we can have an intellectual discussion about why someone won a match. Well, he didn't hold the position down for 3 seconds, and it wasn't an offensive position, so no points. LL Snap says they need a wrestling point system. Jiu-Jitsu point system is clearly broken. And what's the wrestling point? Wrestling. I don't think the wrestling point system can handle jiu-jitsu because there's so much more positions. Like freestyle, they Well, in wrestling, they give them points fast. There ain't no questioning. You get 2 hands on the floor and knees on the mat, 2. You get flipped over, 2. Wrestling, they give them points, but they got, in wrestling, I do like they can, they can kind of, what is that called when you can challenge a call. I like that system. You challenge the call, throw the brick. But the thing is, you got a million jiu-jitsu matches. You can't throw. How you gonna have people reviewing the match and throwing the brick? Brazilians be throwing the brick a million times. He says, "Don't give the girls enough." I'm giving the girls money, bro. LL Snap, get out of here, bro. You gotta give these girls some money, bro. LL Snap, he old school Cuban. This ain't old school Cuba no more, man. It's 2025. You gotta give girls money. You gotta pay them equally. Nah, I don't have those views. I would have gave the girls 250, 200, 150, something a little bit more. I would at least let them have the bonus, the submission bonus. Josiah getting everything out of his system. Get it out your system by Friday, bro. Because once Friday comes, Jerry Lou says minus points for getting pushed out of bounds is good. No, just give the push out point to the aggressive athlete. Yeah, I don't like minus points. Give a positive point. Whoever grapples better should win. Yeah, that's subjective though. Mushmaster, yeah, because somebody playing guard, you're like, well, he's losing, and guy that on top not passing, you think he won, and he didn't go for no submissions. Mushmaster says freestyle, Greco, and judo have points. BJJ needs a unified rule set to prevent this from happening. ADCC has rule. I still don't understand the points behind ADCC. They got some weird rules. It don't be making sense. ADCC rules. You got to hold somebody down for 5 minutes. How you didn't score a takedown and they landed on their butt? Nah, you need to get them points fast, man. On says points should be fast. Going to turtle to avoid takedowns is such BS. Well, ADCC, you could do all that. ADCC, they got 1 page of rules. They ain't updated their rules. Nobody. How you score in ADCC? You take the people down flat to their back. They pop back up. No takedown, no advantage, nothing. Now, if you pull guard at the wrong time, you get a penalty. So even ADCC rules kind of whack to me. Guy on top wins, simple. Yeah, but what submissions are you doing from on top? Huh? What submissions are you doing from on top? You ain't. What submissions? This is a submission tournament. What you doing on top if you just wrestle? How are you going to win a submission tournament by wrestling? Outside of Nicky Rod. BJJ guys need to abolish points. Well, Mushmaster and some other people said we need to keep the point system. LOL Snap says everyone needs to go under one unified rule set. We can't because everybody want to do their own thing. That's why the sport will never be taken seriously. Maybe that might be true. Who's gonna take charge of that? IBJJF, CJI, UFC BJJ, BJJ Stars. Who's number one? Zapatero, Kansai. Who's gonna take charge? ADC. Did I say ADCC? Says then you need to make a natural division and a supplemental division and let them boys go at it. We don't want to see people dying of a heart attack and they not even making $10. Mushmaster says ADCC rules are yeah, ADCC rules. I did ADCC Open. I was like looking at the scorecard. I'm like, what in the world? You know, I can't even think logically about ADCC rules. So what we're gonna do? Let's look at the Lachlan video, and then I want to come back to this. I might push this back a little bit too. Save some good stuff for later. We ain't got to cover everything. We'll come back to me, guys. I want to see what Lachlan's got to say. For a little bit. You need a what? AB Invitational. You guys are gonna be coming after me like you come after Greg
quick
Jones.
Recap of CJ. I want to talk about.
Now, if you guys got some I need a sponsor too. Where's my anonymous sponsor? I might set up a tournament. Where's my? I'll do something if I get an anonymous sponsor and we'll stream it. I'll do it like Kai said. Now I'll just do it in the house. rent out a Airbnb and just do it in the yard or something. LOL Snap says outside source that has no skin in the game. Yeah. But understands the point system and the scoring of jiu-jitsu, so they can't say it's by. I would just do IBJF, as I understand IBJF rules better than anything. The ladies severely outperformed the guys at CJ. Tell LOL Snap that. Tell LOL Snap that. Says they're already doing it anyway. Might as well make a decision. So let's listen to Lachlan, and then we'll go hit a couple more stories, and then you know how we do it, man.
At the event itself, I want to talk about how the Australia team did. And I'll talk about that final decision as well, just my thoughts on that. On a great show, the atmosphere was incredible. I think the matches were great. It would have been nice to see more submissions, of course, but if you like jiu-jitsu, you appreciate all the battles that are going on at every point. Each grip battle, I think, is exciting from my perspective. I guess that's where it's like, for the casual, for the person who doesn't do jiu-jitsu, obviously you want potentially more action, and I think it was great when they brought in that extra 50k bonus. That's awesome from the anonymous investor to kind of help incentivize things there.
He knows who it is.
Probably overall with the format, like having teams, there's definitely especially the new wave versus B team rivalry, like that adds another element to the show. On the downside, I think just probably incentive wise, if you're losing a match, the worst thing that can happen for your team is you get submitted. So if you're losing, there is a bit more incentive to sort of not try to get out. Whereas from an individual competition, like if it's just you trying to progress to the next round, if you're in a bad position, you have to get out. You have to take some risks and get out, potentially risk getting submitted, because otherwise you're going to lose anyway. So probably incentive-wise, that was an issue. But then you add that to the whole team thing, and I think that keeps it quite exciting. So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really good. The team itself, so we had 66 kilo Fabricio Andre. That guy, I love his style. He brings it, to try and stand and wrestle against, like most of the 66 guys, obviously like Dorian wrestled, but most of the 66 guys were kind of pulling guard and trying to sort of stay on their back, not turtle, which is, honestly, that's the safest thing to do in this rule set. It's more about surviving if you're against a big guy, whereas like Fabricio is trying to stand up, trying to throw them. You know, he's getting taken down, he's trying to bounce back up. So I think he's, for the event, a very exciting fighter. And for his first match, he had Alan Sanchez. He was able to like have some really good passing and show like a bunch of really good things from his game. His second match, he had Victor Hugo. I think probably there is a point where trying to wrestle against someone big enough starts getting tough. So yeah, that was a huge sizing factor. I thought he did great. Next was Kenta. Like, what a performance. Hey, he was a replacement for Lee. Obviously, we were going to have Levi. Kenta came in and he did a fantastic job against Kyle Bain in that first match. Like, really good passing, takedowns. And then against Nicky Rod, it's all around. That was probably my favorite match of the whole tournament, his match with Nicky Rod. I thought he really brought it to him. Someone, such a good wrestler in Nicky Rod, and Kenta being able to get takedowns, reversals, and even submission attempts. So it was really nice. So he was probably my favorite fighter of the event, actually. At 88, we had Lucas Canard. He was actually, I kind of had him as one of our biggest submission threats. I think probably our two biggest three submission heavy people were Canard, Declan, and Bilal. I thought they were probably the most likely to come away with submissions. Canard, especially with the leg locks, I think he matches up so well against bigger opponents, and that's the hard thing, trying to you kind of don't know who they're going to bring out, so you're kind of hoping you get a good matchup. Unfortunately, he came against PJ Barch and Wojcik, who are both very good leg lockers, so it kind of negated his style to some degree. I still think Canard would have got the decision on both of those matches, which shows how good he is. These are top quality competitors, and I think he still would have got the nod in terms of the points, but I was really hoping to match him up with someone bigger. We actually got B-Team played a trick on us, actually. So they had, because I wasn't going to send Kent out first in that second round, and then Kyle walks back. He's like, I just saw Nicky Rod and Victor Hugo warming up. And I was like, oh, they're probably going to, like, and the others weren't. And but maybe they're going to put their big people out. I'm going to send Kennard out. We're going to put Declan out instead first. They got us. That changed my order.
Coach, you have your first competitor.
Yep.
His name, sir?
Chris Wojcik.
All right, here we go.
So it ended up against Wojcik, so obviously another leg lock specialist, so that was kind of a draw. But anyway, even if we put Declan out, I think from what Declan was saying against Wojcik, he's a hard, it takes a long time to pass Wojcik, so it might have been not a submission anyway. We really wanted either Declan or Lucas getting a submission in that second one. So. Then we had at 99 Bilal, so he, I think he was one of the, stories of the event at least. He went out swinging, he got his submission with Gio, and then in the second, then he had to go against Kyle Bain, and Bilal, he's always looking for the submission. He wants to get in there and do his thing. I tried to talk him out of it a little bit before before the match. I'm like, dude, we're up, like, go for lay logs, but if you're in a 50-50 battle, let's play conservative. But I think it's hard to change your like how you train. You need to sort of prepare for different things. So that's something we'll work on in the room, just like being a bit more on defense as well, and playing in the pocket a bit more. He's such a dangerous. His leg locks are so good, so I can see why he had the confidence to play the counter game there. And then so he unfortunately got injured. He verbal tapped. And then tapped, and then it kind of, I don't know if it was when the ref came in or whatever, but like it was probably a little bit of time from when he actually said, like, from when he verbal tapped to actually the leg lock being applied, being stopped, and I think that made the injury considerably worse, which is a shame because you lose a fighter for the next day essentially. He woke up the next day, he's like, I can't step on, I can't even walk, like, and I'm like, well, if we have to, we'll pull you out. I was trying to see if they would let us get Kit Dale in as a replacement, but they wouldn't let us.
Oh no!
So I'm like, Bilal, is there a way? Can we get it? Like, if you tuck your foot under your own leg, can you just lie down and hope that they try to mount you and you just defend? because like if we were able to get up a submission and he could somehow survive, we can still win. Obviously this was with some advice, chatting to the physio as well as to whether there was a physio there doing an assessment just to make sure there's nothing too bad is going to happen. We basically had it. If someone started to grab his leg, he was going to tap straight away. Anyway, he went out there. He unfortunately got Victor Hugo, another very big, good competitor. Victor was very aware to keep his legs away and got the submission. And lastly, Declan. Declan was amazing too. Declan, I think, out of everyone there, his passing, I think, was the best. His north-south passing, I think he got the best passing against flexible guards. He looked so good all around, and he's unfortunately, like Ethan Kralison, just was doing a very good job at just in those late stage positions, like hiding his arms and getting his elbow back, pummeling his forearm back underneath against like head arm chokes, and he wouldn't turn his back. He'd obviously be, and that's just like, it comes down to the rules. But I think those matches are the decider. If you get a big mismatch, a 90 plus 99 against a 66, you probably, most of the submissions from the event came from that. You had like Bilal and Gio, you had Fabricio got submitted against Victor Hugo, you had Pato got submitted by Luke Griffith. Like most of the submissions came when there was a big mismatch in size, and that's such a decider, because if you get a submission, that's awesome. If you don't, the best you get is a 10-9 round. So yeah, that was it for our team. I thought the whole team was amazing. I'm very proud of everyone. I was honored to get to coach those guys on the day.
Take a little break from Lachlan. Let me read some comments. The ladies severely outperformed the guys at CGI. I agree. The girls did their job. they understood the assignment. They already supplement division. We already had that supplement division. Moneyberg sponsored my dog Alec. You guys gonna see me in the rash guard with the socks on and the truck with the Moneyberg logo on it. You guys want to see me sell out that badly? No. Jason Whitfield says, you can't have wrestling points in jiu-jitsu. Most of jiu-jitsu is played with a top-bottom player. That is the total opposite of wrestling. What's next? We're going to follow the rules of cricket now for jiu-jitsu? Josiah says, I can't believe I'm a topic of this. You always a topic. You an extra special fellow, bro. Now, after Friday, we might not be talking about you no more, Josiah, so soak it up right now. LOL Snap says, being honest, Helena was the best on CGI. All right, give her money, bro. Let her get the money then. If it wasn't for her, the whole show would be boring. So give her the $1 million for all the rest of the women that don't deserve it. Nah, break off them girls some money. They deserve that money. LOL Snaps, it's probably Moneyberg. How else did Craig get the rash guard? I think Mikey gave him extra rash guard. I've been trying to get a rash guard this whole time. Maybe the sponsor probably got Mushmaster says submission only has ruined the game. Now submission only can be boring. Me and Mushmaster have been sat through some terrible matches.
Well, your finals are set for later on.
In terms of the final, yeah. So the result was B team got the victory. Look, I think if you read what was written, and certainly there's kind of two things. There's what was the intent, and then what's actually like how it was written and how you could interpret that. And then there's the third thing is like what was everyone actually fight? Like what did everyone actually have in their mind when they were fighting and competing? So look, the way it was written, it does look like you certainly could interpret it as if you it's whoever won the most rounds that would get the decision. The intent of it, I believe, was not that, because if you look at it, this would be the order I would write the rules anyway. If there's someone has more submissions, they go through. Then you tally up the points, and then it goes through. And if not, if it's a draw, it goes down to the last match. That's how it should. That was the intent. I'm sure that's the thing that was communicated by Craig about how he wants the rules. When it was written up, they kind of didn't have any writing about the score from tallying points. They just said, like, I think that they had a line about like whichever team has the most individual wins, which I think was probably meant to be written as has the highest score in points, but it wasn't, and you could certainly interpret that as like B team had 3 wins. Sorry, New Wave had 3 wins, B team had 2, therefore New Wave.
Next one, guys.
Look, I think because of that, that's why New Wave got the $1 million. But what was everyone actually fighting for? Well, I know for my strategy, I had it so I put you want to put a strong competitor last because that last match actually counts quite a lot. So that's why in the first match, I put Kenta last. He probably doesn't have the strongest submissions, like his positional game. I think is stronger than his submission game. So I thought he's probably going to out-position everyone. He'll probably win a decision at the very least, and I'll put him last. Because then, therefore, if it's a tie, he's going to get us through over the line. In the second match, we had Bilal was injured. I didn't even know if I wanted to put him out there. I was going to basically, if the team was losing, we were down on a submission, he was last, I was going to pull him. That actually ended up being the case, and he walked out. I'm like, dude, do you actually want to do this? You're now going to have to submit someone and survive the next match. And he's like, I want to do it. Okay, but my original plan was actually to pull him if we were in that scenario. So that's why I had him last, just kind of see how the matches would play out. But otherwise, I would have tried to put Bilal's a more submission guy. I would have probably put someone with a greater positional game last. Now, if you look at the way B Team and New Wave played that last thing, they put their 2 probably strongest people last. Nicky Rod and Luke Griffith were the last picks. There's a reason they did that, I think, is because they thought if it goes to a draw, then this last match is the decider. Now Nicky Rod obviously won that, so that was the thing that got them through. But that's how I think everyone was playing the game, with the idea of the last match is the decider. So I think from that perspective, I think all the competitors were thinking that. Certainly when we discussed in the rules meetings, there's kind of what's written down, and then there's you have meetings with we had 4 meetings with the coaches, with the judges. You even you're talking to them around the mat and so on. So the rules were changing throughout, they're changing different reset positions and so on. It definitely did seem like it was a fluid situation. So anyway, I think probably if you went by a letter of the law, New Wave has a case, but in terms of the intent and what everyone was actually using, I think BT deserved that decision. So
What do you think of people who didn't turn up but apparently watched the whole thing and complained a lot?
What do I think? Yeah, I probably won't comment on that.
What's going on? Well, Lachlan.
A quick recap of CJI.
He was kind of saying New Wave won. Lachlan said New Wave won. Let me catch up on some comments. You guys know I be focused on the video. I ain't got ADHD like some of you people. I be focused on. I'm listening. Oh, that's what he said. Okay, I can see that. All right. Sorry, Josiah, I'm skipping you, bro. Submission only has ruined the game. LMAO. Says you can find what online? LOL snapped. Sub only guys don't like points because points take away excuses. That's true. You can't. Well, I had more sub attempts. Sub only is boring. It was never supposed to be. Well, I guess it is. Even the old Gracie matches, 2 hours long. Nobody wants to watch that for 2 hours. You can tell Lachlan was watching his words very carefully. That's what Jason Whitfield said. It's very, very political right there because of his relationship with Craig. He looked like Lachlan probably know more than he lets on. Mushmaster says most of the matches don't end in submissions, and it's just guys going for leg locks and Grambian. That is true. Them submission only matches be boring, and then somebody get worn down eventually and get caught. Position before submission. That's how we all learned it. Now most people don't want to do that no more. Does Flow Grappling have anything up? Let me see real fast. I got to check on Flow Grappling. Flow Grappling, what you guys got up over there? Let me see what content you guys got for me to watch. My internet's going slow, everybody. I'm sorry. Every match from Declan Moody. We might watch some of that. Oh, they got Victor Hugo joins talk at CJI 2. Maybe. I don't know if we'll watch that today. Maybe another day or something. All right. We want to watch Declan Moody. We might watch some Declan Moody later. He has some really good passing for a big guy. I was trying to tell Tony. Tony, if you're watching the live stream, go check out Declan Moody. Passing. I don't know if we'll look at that today though. What the heck is that? We're not gonna watch that right now though. If YouTube will stop. Oh, I clicked on something wrong. I'll push this back somewhere. Going back to Reddit, what's Reddit got for us? We just watched. We need to finish the Miha video. We'll get back to that. Let me just read some of these comments though. I can't get rid of that. It says, I think this actually shows how much Craig cares not only about making this event fair, but also the community's opinion. If y'all keep complaining, we might lose him. So someone says, I resign. It was not worth having John Danaher hate me for the rest of his life. Unnecessary, but thanks, Craig, for clarifying further. People need to chill out about the details of a free event. Maybe too rash of a decision. That was to the anonymous donor. Getting athletes paid is great regardless. That was the main goal of the event. I don't see anything wrong with giving second place a prize. Well, it's not your millie, bro. I ain't got a millie to give anybody, so I ain't got a dog in that fight. Whatever the decision by the investor, he was clearly bothered by the decision. Now, according to the rules, B team won, but also the judging was also a bit weird on some decisions. It's clear that the investor, who could have easily done nothing, felt New Wave deserved something. I do not disagree with the decision, and it's sad that the final result was not super clear. Personally, I would love to see both those teams run it again and each put their millie on the line. Yeah, put a millie on the line, everybody. And if it goes to a draw, which I do not think it was, then sudden death first to tap. Says if someone wants to promote the sport and give their own credence, go ahead, like getting mad at someone for tipping a waiter. Some of you guys will be tipping. Probably wanted to avoid a lawsuit. There's no lawsuit if multiple coaches attended rule meetings and understood the rules. Says not really. The rules said most wins won. Seems an accidental oversight by the CJI team who wanted team dominance to be the decider, but lawsuits are won on what the written contract says nearly every time. Probably cheaper than litigating it all. Someone said, also, anonymous donor, can I have $5,000? 5 bands? Give me 5 bands. Danaher and Bodoni, not referring to CGI2 on Instagram at all, is low. Bodoni just put some stories how AI models thought New Wave won. Bodoni got to shut up because he still made some money. He made a little bit of chunk of cash. He still got his submission bonuses, right? Someone says, wait, what do you mean? Like, did he, get out of there. He made $250K, while realistically would have made zero if investor didn't put extra money, at least acknowledging it. Who are you talking about? Danaher and Gordon, I'm not going to say that. Daddy is Adele Fornerino. Not Craig Glazing here, but dude goes above and beyond only to get hated on by people that offer nothing to the sport. I was right about this stuff. Everyone downvoted me. This event really showed just how stupid this sub can be. You didn't need that. You didn't need that show to show you that. Some facts about CGI that have been argued about from the start, despite being obvious to anyone who watched with full context. Bodoni tap GO2. Ethan making Dorian arguably verbal tap makes it no more than 10-9 round. I still didn't hear the verbal tap, but maybe he did. Gordon Ryan is a jerk. Okay. Says the debate isn't the scoring, it's the very first rule. Why is this not being discussed? New Wave won the rounds, so the first rule applies. I think we are being gaslit here. If 5 double eliminations occur, or any such instance where each team's final athletes are double eliminated, the team with more individual wins by judge's decision. I think you gotta take into the whole matches. That's what they were saying. You gotta take in the tally for all the matches. says, yes, the rules were written in a confusing way, but also there were like 5 meetings and constant conversations about it. It's based on a commonly used model, the purpose and logic behind which is well understood. Interpreting it as most wins simply doesn't make sense with that context. And where it is confusing, they could easily have asked. Yeah, I don't know. It says you're right that the 2 clauses are inconsistent. One bullet point has New Wave winning and the other has B Team winning. So what happened in that case? Their contracts are clear. Any inconsistencies in the rules are judged as CJI's sole discretion. So same thing with IBJJF, same thing with ADCC, same thing with every tournament you've ever done. When you lose or win or it comes to a draw, whatever they decide that's 2 wins. That's how it is. They got it in the rules. Again, let me read that part one more time. Any inconsistencies in the rules are judged at CJI's sole discretion. So when you sign that contract, my athletes and coaches, you put yourself up. Now, if you win, awesome. It might be up to luck at this point. If you win, great. You lose, who cares? It just happens. That's kind of life too. So I mean, I don't know why we're arguing, because Craig and the donors can do whatever they want. At the end of the day, they can have their team win and they can have your team lose. When it comes down to things, I'm not saying that's what happened, but that is what happened. It says on the night, clearly the intent was last bout wins, as Craig explained in the video, as was clear to everyone, as it's a quintet rule. On the night with CJI staff and judges, New Wave were solely arguing about scoring, not this rule. As Craig also explained, there's little point in a 10-point must system in the first place if it's most wins win. So it's the scoring. You gotta look at the score, guys, not just the match, but the scoring. Every coach knew this going in, as it was discussed numerous times in the rules meeting. Well, nobody uses the 10 must rule system really. I think does UFC use it? So UFC uses it and CJI. So most of these people aren't used to these rules. Of course they're gonna be confused. We'll look at that some more. Let's look at some stories for what we got on Instagram. Talking about Quintet and CJI, we got Fat Ninja. Again, I'm not making fun of him. That's his nickname. He's training with Sakuraba, the Gracie Slayer. And there's another quintet coming up soon. Hopefully they don't mess it up like let's watch them train. This is in Japan, I believe. Can't play that music. Anyway, we got Sakuraba Sakuraba look old. How old is Sakuraba? He definitely got CTE. But he's training with Fat Ninja. Fat Ninja says, training with a legend. Right before traveling, I had the honor to train with Pride legend, the Gracie Hunter. I said Gracie Slayer. Kazushi Sakuraba. Incredible experience just days before my fight at Polaris. Polaris is also this weekend, I believe, everybody. Sorry there aren't more clips. We stepped out of the camera angle, but trust me, he's still as sharp as ever. Nah, you're not, bro. My man. He's not decrepit, but he definitely not aging well. Quan, what up, Quan? He says Gordon Ryan might be the sorest loser I've ever seen. You guys know Quan loves B Team or Simple Man, but it's not surprising because he's also an incredibly sore winner. My man just not happy in life. He got everything you could want and still not happy. So let that be a lesson to you people.
October 23rd, from Japan to the heart of Dubai, inside the Coca-Cola Arena, Team Survival Grappling. No points, no judges, only submissions. Win and fight again. Lose, and your team is one step closer to defeat. 4 teams will enter. Only one will survive. Live at the Coca-Cola Arena. Tickets on sale now.
Quintet. All right, if you guys are going to be in Dubai, go check that out. My people over there overseas, go check it out. quintet.
The most exciting grappling format. October 23rd.
Yeah, go check it out. I can't play that music. It might be cool. Hopefully, they don't have the same issues CGI had. Is that a good watch, Quan? He says they both solid watches. All right. Quan gets his approval. All right, guys, we got about 45 minutes on here, so I got to cover all these stories. See all them tabs? I'm probably not going to cover half the stuff I need to. Quan said these are good watches, though. I should have just if I was smarter, I would have saw that there was 2 pictures there. Is that a day date? What is that? Oyster? What is that, Quan? Tell me what those are, Quan. I don't know nothing about watch. Quan, he's my source on all things luxury. He says my bloodlines trace back. My man got history in Cuba. I got a couple Cuban cousins. Sanitaria lineage. Okay. All right, let's look at the post over here. We got some stories. Let me see the stories.
Rock to help me cure it without antibiotics.
Really?
So I had it on my back, and I put.
Guys, if you guys staff, take your antibiotics. Gordon's is a day date, which is more of a luxury watch. Okay. What did Nicky Rod have? Nicky Rod's is more of a sports watch. Okay. Kind of fix their personalities. Guys, if you got staff, go to the doctor. Don't pull a Ben Askren and need some new lungs.
I put the topical clindamycin pad, and there's like liquid clindamycin that you can like just rub on there, and then there's a pad. So
Why do they get staph so much? What's wrong with their skin? Why are they getting staph every day?
He's got one that's because everybody brings up that Moneybird guy.
All right, we're just going through the stories real fast. Okay, let's go. Gordon fits in, and he fits in Texas. He deserves to be there. Stay there too, Gordon. Let's read a couple of this post. It says comprehensive review of the Cricket Jones Invitational (CJI). Mustmaster says all I got is a whoop band. That's better for you than all this other crap. At least you can monitor your heart rate and stuff. Them Rolex watches can't monitor nothing. Quan says there are billionaires who rock the sub, so Gordon making fun of Nicky Rod's watch is kind of stupid. He says I never got staff. What you guys be putting on over there? Coconut oil? What my Cuban brothers putting on? We need that stuff too. They don't wash. Oh shoot. All right, I can't help them if they ain't washing themselves. Hit that shower, bro, because they only got 3 showers. How you got 300 members and 3 showers? Quan says Gordon needs to just focus on himself instead of comparing himself with others. He just sounds jealous. Yeah, he does. Why? He just trying to stay relevant, I think. I don't know. There's too much. All of us too busy to be worried about other people like that. The only reason I'm not really worried. I'm just covering people for my live stream. I'm making money off that though. I'm making money off that. If I wasn't making money off this, I wouldn't care about these people. We'll go through a couple slides. Cricket Jones Invitational. That's kind of funny a little bit. Oh my God. All right, guys, make sure you hit up the Cash App if I got to read all this crap. If you guys just joining us, we Josiah just got exposed on Reddit. We just covered that story a little bit ago. I don't know if I can read all this. Bro, what the heck is going on? I can't read all. I'm gonna read the second page, bro. I can't. It says the only other place to get effed up or effed was the contract. So let's get into that. The contract was pretty clear. All rules are explicitly written out in the contract. You forgot the last point where they can decide whatever they want at the end. Quan says he'll be relevant if he competed, but he sounds scared. He can't compete. His health is terrible. He sacrificed his health for that success. All the rules were explicitly written out in the contract. I had lengthy discussions with the donor, who reached out to me initially to get the guys paid. You know, Gordon messed up their millie. He messed up their money. Had their money funny. I had lengthy discussions with the donor, who reached out to me initially to get the guys paid. Let it be known that he seemed like a great guy. There was never really any contention between us, except logical contention of contract clauses. He wants to remain anonymous and has been nothing but nice to me. If you give Gordon money, he's going to be nice to you. Unless something changes and he starts attacking me, I have no interest in posting our discussions at the moment. It appears to me that he is a nice guy, he said nice guy 3 times, bro, who is just being misled by incompetence and scumbaggery. He initially messaged me that he was sorry and felt that we should have certainly won. He also told me, as well as sent confirmation from CJI, Crooked Craig, Gordon is terrible, that the athletes would be paid, and more importantly, that CJI would publicly overturn the decision. He says, bruh, just joined and saw a giant wall of Gordon Ryan ranting. Yeah. Guys, please hit up the Cash App if I gotta talk about, bro. I hate reading this crap. I hate it. I do it because of you guys and girls out there. We started chatting about the contract. The clause being referenced is annexure. I don't even know what that means. 4.2, which states athletes acknowledge and agrees that any inconsistencies or matters not specifically addressed in the CJI rules will be resolved, determined, and or nominated at the sole discretion of CJI. This is fine, except for the fact that all the rules were specifically addressed in the contract. If the contract had not explicitly stated the rules and said something along the lines of see CGI rulebook or website, that would have been fine. The contract specifically stated what the rules were. It also stated clearly what the rules were for tiebreaker. Like previously stated, the last match winner rule was not in the athlete's contract. The rules we agreed to were. What do you mean we agreed? You weren't even there. How did you agree on anything? You weren't even present. You weren't supporting CJI. Why do you get a say? The rules we agreed to were indeed specifically addressed and very clearly stated in the contract. Moreover, their relevant and non-contractually added rules make things worse, as they clearly contradict one another. The added rule stated if tied on scorecard, the teams whose athletes won the final bout wins. This bullet point is not only not in the contract, but also in direct contradiction to the above bullet point, which was in the contract, stating, now Gordon can read. he ain't. I just spit. That's how you know I'm talking too much. He's never read a single one of his contracts, but he's in this CGI contract for sure. This bullet point is not only not in the contract, but is in direct contradiction to the above bullet point, which was in the contract, stating if 5 double eliminations occur or any such instance where each team's final athletes are double eliminated, the team with more individual wins by judges' decision wins. It doesn't say something like unless there's a tie. But again, it comes down to the scoring, right? I'm trying to figure that out. Danny Tapa says, howdy, Josiah. Hope you're doing well. He just got exposed, so he's not doing too well. He just got exposed, Danny Tapa. I wish you were on earlier. He got exposed on Reddit. Oh, my God. I hate reading this. We're going to skip some of that. I sent you some money. Thank you, bro. That powers me. I don't got high chew, so I gotta run off dollars. It says, bullet 1 is a statement in and of itself. Bullet 1 has us winning. Bullet 2 has us losing. So not only was bullet 2 not the athlete contract, but it's in the direct contradiction to bullet 1. We did look at that a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if we can pull that up. Thank you, LOL Snap. I appreciate you, brother. Said it is also underneath the contractually bulleted point, meaning bullet point 1 supersedes bullet point number 2. Another point that was raised was that the contract does not. The contract does say that CGI can change the rules at its sole discretion. Why are you competing in a tournament where they can change the rules? Well, IBJF can change the rules too, whenever they want, at their sole discretion. That being said, clause 7.5 clearly states, we became lawyers today, clearly states that no variation of this agreement is in effect unless it is in writing and signed by both parties. This means that CGI can change the rules, but it must be signed by both parties. People are making the argument that CJI can change the rules for any team for any reason at any time. If this is the case and the hill you're willing to die on, let's do a simple thought experiment. If you think that CGI could change the rules for any reason whatsoever, you're saying that in the finals, Crooked Craig, Craig, you gonna take this line down, Craig? Crooked Craig could approach the team and say, I've just decided that Team New Wave will have a handicap. You will now be starting with 4 submissions counted against you, and only Dorian will be eligible to compete. Sorry, guys, we changed the rules at our discretion. I want you guys to remember that, Craig said he allowed New Wave just about anything they wanted. The what are those called? Not the dark horses, the wild card. He let them have 2 wild cards. He let them have Mika Gaval. He gave them everything basically. Sorry guys, we changed the rules at our discretion. If you think CJI can change the rules without athletes signing off on it, that's the hill you're willing to die on. Okay? The entire reason clause 7.5 was in the contract was so that CGI could not have completely unchecked control and ability to make biased rules whenever they wanted. The rules were specifically stated in the contract, and the contract was not to be changed unless signed by both parties. Woo! Josiah, get it out your system, bro. Get it out your system. So we now have a situation where Crooked Craig posted that our guys would receive $1 million. Or $1 million. I say $1 million over here. The investor messaged me and said he would push Craig towards the payout and overturn the decision. Why? I don't like that anonymous donor having all this power. So that's the issue when these anonymous guys, they got all this money. We're going to overturn the decision. I want Gordon's team to win. No. This whole, everything's messed up. Crooked Craig overturned the decision and then confirmed both would happen. Sackless Seth, Gordon got a name for everybody. Sackless Seth gave his word he would meet with the guys in person back in Austin, just like he gave us his word he would have a gym to train at. We would have a gym to train at when we moved to Austin. He, of course, canceled that meeting like the sackless midget he is. God, dog. I forget that Gordon's from Jersey, so he can talk a little bit of trash, a little bit. Then a post was made saying we would no longer receive anything. What I am thinking is that the donor tried to do what was right, but does not have any actual control over the event itself. It would appear that when he tried to do what was right, Crooked Craig and Sackless Seth, not my words, Gordon Ryan's words actually, Sackless Seth and Crooked Craig blocked his efforts to rectify the situation, and then he had to unify with them in what is now a mess. Due to the incompetence and scumbaggery of Crooked Craig and Sackless Seth, there are 3 losers here. The first losers, of course, are New Wave. They signed a contract, did a camp, showed up like professionals, and won, yet still got messed over. Nicky Ryan, who just took a position. I'm surprised he called his brother's name. Why don't you just say your brother, bro? Gianni's from NYC and NJ and can't trash talk. Well, he's a good at 2 shoes. That's why you like him. Nicky Ryan, my brother, who just took a position of a full-time coaching role. He now has a winning team. I'm jealous. He's got a winning team. It should be my team. He now has a winning team who no one believes won and can't rightfully celebrate his win due to the incompetence and corruption of the event, which sucks for him. The donor, by all accounts, and in the little interactions that we had, so it's not Moneyberg, it's got to be someone else, he genuinely just seems like a guy who likes jiu-jitsu and wants to help athletes make money. There was no ill intent. You should just give the athletes money then. Why you got to do all this tournament stuff? Maybe because of the taxes or something? There was no ill intent when we spoke. We addressed our grievances and had a talk about the contract. I want to respect his want to remain anonymous and let everyone know that I don't believe it was on him that the boys are no longer getting paid. It might be your fault, Gordon. As you know, there are very tricky legal and tax things and such that would make payment harder than you'd think if Crooked Craig refused to pay the men through the CGI entirely. The bottom line is simple. I told the guys they would get messed over at every turn. Of course you're going to say that. And urged them to not take part in this circus. They and John were more optimistic, which I respect. Woo! We're not done. LOL Snap, thank you, brother. You know, I got to be reading all this stuff, man. It'd be rough on my throat. No, did he? Says their plan was to go in against all odds and win. I mean, they had Mika Galval, they had Giancarlo, they had, who else did they have? They had Dorian, they had, who else did they have? They had Luke Griffith, they had Big Dan until he got sick with whatever crap he got. They had Wagner Hosha. Am I missing somebody? Who was their 77 guy? Oh, they didn't have Ethan Krill. Dorian. Who was 77? Who was 77 New Wave guy? Oh, Mika. Yeah, they had Mika Gaval. They had everything, bro. And you guys gonna say you're the underdogs. You fighting. Man, get out of here. You guys should have been winning. You had all the odds. The odds were on your favor. Yeah, I'm reading all of this. Yeah, thanks, Josiah. Says their plan was to go in against all odds and win. Not only did they do this, they did it without the presence of me and Murgali. I mean, you guys can't even stay healthy. We accomplished what we came to do and finished on top. This was the first and last time that Kingsway athletes will participate in this event. I mean, who are you to say? If they offer $1 million again, them athletes might have to go. They ain't got money like you. They gotta do whatever tournaments they can. As for the other athletes thinking of competing at future CGI and Cricket Jones Invitationals in the future, be aware that he was willing to do this stuff to a team that took him in, built his brand. He already had a brand before you guys. Built his brand and trained him for free for 4 years and did nothing but help him while he was with us. What do you think he's willing to do to you? Congrats to the boys and Helena for winning both their Helena made some money though. Don't forget about that. Now Gordon not going to really say much about that. Helena got her money. Congrats to the boys and Helena for winning both their divisions. I can't wait to see how much trust the athletes will have in this organization after the mess they made. I think we have seen something like this before. It was, what was it? Oh yeah, Metamoris didn't pay athletes after they said they would. Shout out to my Gracies out there. At least they're doing great. Sincerely, a concerned fan, not identified, or labeled as an official coach for New Wave at CGI, and has no legal binding connection whatsoever. Conversation over. Sackless Seth. All right. Okay. It wasn't that bad. That's some of the rules. I ain't gonna read that. That's too much. Jiu-jitsu people can't read. Someone said, credit where credit is due. CGI made the wrong call and they fixed it. The donor of CGI messaged me personally and explained the situation while also understanding our obvious major issues. Who sent that post? Wrong call and they fixed it. The donor of CGI messaged me personally and explained the situation while also understanding our obvious major issues with the situation. It is rare in the world today that we find men who still have principles. Or where are those people at? The donor is one of them. I guess not. He don't have principles anymore. With this call, which I deeply appreciate as a man, after a simple review, they have officially overturned the decision and have agreed to pay our athletes $1 million, as well as declare us the official winners of CGI 2. They're not going to do that. Congrats to the New Wave Warriors for winning CGI 2 and to Helena for winning the women's bracket. Congrats, boys. I expected nothing less. Reigning number ones now and forever. Who posted that? I don't know who the donor is. Is it you? Is it you, Josiah? You've been holding out on us this whole time? Oh my God. Let's read a couple comments. Jesus Christ. Thank you, LOL Snap. He definitely is helping out. Thank you, brother. So Josiah, if he loses, your world is going to come to it. Well, yeah, we're gonna see on Friday, man. We're gonna see on Friday. I think we're gonna see. And Josiah, you can't come back as another profile either, bro. I'm saying all you and all your profiles. No more talking about Grippo after Friday. Gordon does says from the dozens of fake Reddit and social media accounts he has of him trying to control the narrative, to rumors he spreads about those who have helped him, you can only hide who you really are for so long. Gordon, you can't really talk, bro. The world will slowly realize, just as Z-Team realized when they kicked him out, and just as my teammates have realized, guys, Guy didn't even stick around to congratulate the winning and his team on the winning the prize at his event, which was 80% less per athlete than it was the year before. By the way, the jiu-jitsu community awakening is beginning. Looking forward to the Flow Grappling article stating that their baby CJI, who spent an entire 2 years trying to bankrupt them, promised New Wave a rightful $1 million and decision overturned, then turned around and said, no, yeah, let's make that article, Flow Grappling. P.S. Every post I made and text I sent has been run by the team. I'm not speaking for them and inserting myself where I shouldn't be. You're the king. You can do whatever you want, right? At least over there. I'm amplifying the voices of my family who have been wronged as any friend. We see how you treat your family. As any friend would, be it a best friend or a worst enemy always. Jesus Christ. Whew. Comments turned off. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks. We do have comments on Reddit, though. They can't get rid of the Reddit comments. Grippo for President 2028. Well, not on this live stream. We can't talk about that no more after Friday. Josiah, what have you been doing? How do you have all this time, bro? My man is the secret donor. Not only is he Kevon, but he's a secret donor. He's a secret donor for CJI. I knew it, bro. You better break off some money, Josiah, with all this time. If you can hire all these bot accounts, you better pay some money to the stream. Josiah, what have you been doing, brother? We have a believer in Grippo. Nah, get out of here. So we just read all that. I just read all that. Oh my God, I don't know how I did that. Shout out to LL Snap. He definitely helped out. Let's see. Says gastrointestinal Gordo should pull himself up by his bootstraps and stop expecting handouts. We built this country with hard work and no crying. Gordon crying. He was even whining when he thought his buddies were going to get paid. Gordon never going to be happy. Josiah says he minds his business. Nah, bro. Yeah, but you keep talking about Grippo, and people outed you on Reddit because of that. He was whining when he thought his buddies were going to get paid. He's insufferable and constantly looking for reasons to get pissy online and rant to a turned off comment section. Yeah, he need to turn them comments up or turn them comments on so I can read them. All right, guys, we got about 30 minutes because I'm tired. Reading Gordon Ryan's posts made me tired. Didn't help his team win $1 million on the mats or off the mats, and yet is the loudest one from the chair in the corner. I feel sorry for the New Wave guys that competed at CJI personally. If Gordon had shut up, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd have followed through with the payment. He wanted to delegitimize the whole event and have New Wave crowned winners. At that point, you have to stand firm if you believe you're on the right side of the rules. Gordon cucked his own team. He probably gets cucked by his whole team. How about this? If he competed, that is true. If Gordon had competed, his team would have got paid. That's true. No way Nicky Rod controls him like he did to Luke. He sat in the corner while his team lost a squeaker. Yeah, Gordon, why didn't you compete? Wait, so the anonymous donor pulled the offer to pay New Wave. I'm confused by Gordon's post. Has this been confirmed elsewhere? The donor did make a post on Reddit. They still all got paid more than they would for winning ADCC. That's true. $50K. Giancarlo got $50K for those submissions. Helena and John are the same person. I'm convinced John put a wig on. No, Helena is John's daughter. John Danaher is the daddy. Says this one-sided beef is so sad. He's like vindictive. He's like the vindictive ex-girlfriend who posts on social media. His hormones are honestly probably similarly unbalanced. Is that you, LL Snapped on there? I don't think it's one-sided. I think they both dislike each other equally. But one of them is definitely way better at winning the social media optics battle. God, he's insufferable. Even with the flaws of CJI 2, it's still more successful event than CJI 1. The drama, the gossip created by CGI 2 is far bigger than CGI 1, and as we all know, the drama is what people really care about in this sport. They don't care about being good in this sport. Seems like the investor wanted to have the event land on a positive note, and Gordon can't keep his mouth shut, so Guy probably thought, why am I giving Gordon's team $1 million, $1 milli, when all he does is blast me after I'm trying to make it right? I could definitely see Gordon messing that up for everybody. And then complaining. He complaining regardless. Dude's acting like a typical has-been. He's trying to stay relevant when no one cares. If he added value to the community, then he wouldn't need to try so hard. If you're following him on socials and think he's a douche, then unfollow. If enough people do it, then he'll become completely irrelevant. Why doesn't Gordon pay his dues if he has so much money? He doesn't have that much money. Mountain says Craig would never let him compete in his tournament. Maybe. He let Danaher come through. LOL snapped. His English is too good for it to be me. Why doesn't Gordon pay if he has so much money? He said himself that he doesn't even care about the money. Okay, bro, I'm sure Derek Moneyburger is just a really fun guy to hang out with. He says, I think he lost some serious coin on that flip-flop company. How much do you think he lost? Same reason why couples posting on Facebook how they are so happy are divorced 6 months later. It's all self-delusion and attempting to keep up with the Joneses. Gordon acts like he has FU money. He's wasting it on cars and watches. Now, if he lived a simple life, he would have some good money. But he lives in a tract home in a mixed subdivision. Drives a truck that has standard fleet. That's a standard fleet for any small time GC. Was a GC? Gloated about his gym being the Taj Mahal, but it's no nicer than half the gyms in any Midwestern city. He's got a nice gym. I mean, I don't think Gordon paid for his gym. I think the dude did the build out for free. I think he got everything for free. I think somebody's paying for everything over there. LOL Snap says, I would party with Derek Moneyberg. My man LOL Snap ready to sell out. He ready for that truck. He can't wait to get that Moneyberg truck. How is Craig crooked? It's just Gordon latching on to his idol Donnie the Kid Fiddler Trump vocab. He tries to give everyone witty nicknames to discredit them and sound charming. Too bad it doesn't work. Yeah. Let's see. It's still a dude. Breaking news. Gordon now demands participation trophies for his friends. Gordon Ryan's such a jerk. The mentality of a 13-year-old boy addicted to tape videos. You guys like that. Derangement syndrome. Crooked. Imagine being such a petulant man-child that you screw your team out of winnings by crying. Gordon wants the no fun league. Let's see. What do you think? I can't read that. Says no surprise why Gordon decided only to include a cropped screenshot of the contract. He needs to sit back. Ironically, not only did it sound like from what the anonymous donor said that they were directly told of the tiebreaker rules, but Gordon Ryan and New Wave's attitude towards him, the donor, and no doubt stuff like this was the reason he's not giving them the $1 milli. Pay them with the money he got from Funnyberg. Should take some of those flip-flop royalties and pay them himself. It's crazy to me the absolute best in the sport is also an absolute diaper baby. LOL Snap says, I have 360 acres. My man lives in a subdivision. I'm doing better than him. You might be. You got in Texas or Cuba? I guess in Texas with 360 acres. Gordon is 100% right about everything. They messed over New Wave. CGI seems to be some sort of money laundering organization where Craig can funnel charity funds to his friends, and that's it. Craig and Moneyberg taking all the money, while kids in South and Central America rolling on dirt floors. All right, let's get back to the Mija video. Where's Mija at? Mija, where'd you go, bro? There we go. We're going to listen to him, and we got about 20 minutes. 20 minutes left, and I got a dip. Texas. Yeah, in Texas. You got some cow. What you got on that land, bro?
Yeah, so I was the head judge for this competition, right? When it comes to the judging, the way that it worked, by the way, it's a gig that I don't particularly want to do anymore. I resigned. It was not worth it at all. I would pay a lot of money to not have John Danaher hate me for the rest of his life, but I digress. When it comes to the scoring, we have a 10-9, a 10-8, and a 10-7 round. It was largely the same team that judged CGI won. And we did basically a training camp leading up to these to the event, where we got together and we watched a lot of matches in other tournaments and judged them based on the criteria. On the day, the way it works is when the round ends, there's a tablet by SmoothComp that opens up the scoring, and within 10 seconds, but normally in 5 seconds, we punch in the score and submit it independently from each side of the octagon. So the fact that we all arrive, sorry, the pit, I'm sorry. Force of habit. There's no copyright there, hopefully. Yeah, so we all punched that in independently. And the fact that the scores were unanimous shows that we all saw it the same way and that we were pretty consistent with how we were scoring in training as well. So when it comes to the Dorian versus Ethan match, one last thing that I'll say, the way it works is there's 10-10 in the middle, which we obviously can't score because it's a 10-point must system. And then the match swings to 10-9 into 10-8, very rarely into 10-7, and then it moves based on what's happening with the judging criteria, which are initiating effective action, close submissions, and dynamic actions, and then lastly, positional control and dominant control. So with the Dorian and Ethan match, I went back and watched it minute by minute, as did all the other judges, and in the first 2 or 3 minutes, Ethan was just defending with his guard. Dorian was working his passing. It was dominant on Dorian's part, but you don't really get into 10-8 territory until you pass the guard, which Dorian then did, and he was basically surfing on Ethan for 2 minutes, and he got firmly into 10-8 territory. At that point, if the round ended there, we would have all scored a 10-8. And then he got close guard back, and he went for like a Z-lock from close guard, which is by no means a conventional or a common submission. I was actually familiar with it because my friend Shane Fishman got injured with it by Francisco Lowe in a tournament. And what I saw, and I'm just speaking for myself, but I think all the judges saw it similarly, is Dorian go down in pain. It looked like he screamed, and then Ethan went for the back, ended up in close guard. Now, that was still a 10-8 round at that point, but for the remaining 3 minutes, Ethan was attacking the upper body. He had a body triangle for some time. He opened it up into like normal close guard and looked to attack. What we were looking for was for Dorian to stand up, which he started at one point. He put his hands in the armpit to stand up and open the guard. Had he opened the guard and started passing, he would have gone back into 10-8 territory. But with about a minute to go, the round becomes a 10-9 round because of the lack of progression on top, and because Ethan was able to slow down the match and initiate some action with upper body control. People say that the body...
All right, so 10-9 round there. So yeah, you got to fight the whole match, man. Oh shoot, LL Snap said you got the mineral rights too. Don't let you find some oil on that land. You're gonna be rich, Moneyberg rich. Mushmaster says, why was he a judge? I don't know. Well, he's got judo experience. Maybe that's why. Miha does compete. He does like ADCC trials and some other tournaments. You know, I think he does some IBJJF opens. Is he an active competitor? Yeah. I think he's also one of the owners at Legion, Keenan School. He does have judo background, I guess, that, and jiu-jitsu background. I guess that's why he's one of the judges. But he's also the head judge. He's the head judge. Now, you ain't never going to see the head judge at a ADCC or IBJJF. You ain't even going to get a chance to see that person. What is this man wearing socks and the other man not wearing shoes? So they're on a mat. If you go to Keenan School, Legion, if you know Jiu-Jitsu X, that's where they film. It's like a mat with a curved wall kind of deal. So it's just a matted area. I guess they got the chairs on there too. So yeah, I mean, you used to Moneyberg wearing socks, but you're not used to Craig wearing socks. It says the change from 10-8 to 10-9 makes no sense. Well, they said it's a fluid system. So I guess it takes into account the whole match. The whole match is being scored. The whole match for the whole duration. Well, that's their. I'm not in charge. I would just be like, all right, man, give them the money, and let's leave it at that. I would give the millie. If I had the millie, I would give it to the guys. All right, I don't want to hear nothing else from Gordon Ryan. And Lil Snap says, I have money already. I married a rich woman. Dang, bro. You said she got a sister, right? Let me know. My man living good. Just make sure you start that kids program and that women's program.
Triangle from close guard is a stalling position, which is, you could argue that, but if you're getting stalled on from a neutral position like bottom close guard, that doesn't make you overwhelmingly dominant anymore, which is why we all scored it a 10-9 round. And I think as more and more people went back and looked at it, they got to that same conclusion as well. And then the last round between Nikki and Luke, the controversy in the score there, I believe, is that for the first 3 minutes it was an engagement on the feet where they were both kind of like trading throw-bys and not that much happened. But then Nikki got the takedown immediately past the guard and was controlling through dominant positions. In a minute-by-minute breakdown, when we get to the last minute, is when he crosses into 10-8 territory by attempting submissions.
She's smart, man. Your wife's smart.
A Dars/Armin north-south choke, which looked to be getting a reaction out of Luke, and then at the end he was initiating action, trying to get the submission with a triangle attempt from out, which then led to Luke getting back to guard, but it was because Nikki was initiating action and going for submissions, which is what is the #1 criteria in the rules that we look for.
She's right, bro.
I'm sure
She's
that
right.
all of the judges had the 10-8 in there by a close margin, but that was the correct thing to score. I would have scored it if Luke was doing that to Nikki, if this situation was completely reversed, because there's no benefit for us judges who have been impartial from the first competition to judge anything that we don't believe should be scored. So that's it.
What's interesting to me is that you have Jay.
Helping me. What the fuck are you gonna help me?
Hey,
with organize what at 7:30 at night?
Where the heck you
after you get off your job?
He got a better stream than me. Let me get out. Where'd you come out? Where'd you come from? He got a better stream than me. Yeah. What's interesting to me is that you have people like Miha. You got J Flow. I guess they both do judo and jiu-jitsu. But they're the judges, so I don't know. I mean, who judges the UFC BJJ? Is MMA people? They don't even have commentators that understand jiu-jitsu at UFC BJJ. So, as much as you guys hate IBJJF, I think they got the best referees, the most. They at least the referees know this. We all know the rules in IBJJF. Too much TRT. You can lower your levels down, bro. You don't need to be. Yeah, you too high powered. Yeah, it's 2025. Things are different than how they were in Cuba, man. Things are different than last year. But yeah, I'm not. I think Mushmaster brought up a good point. He said, what'd you say? He said, not a lot of impartiality in this situation. And that's the truth. Whatever tournament you do, they're not impartial. You go to IBJF, you fighting a guy and his coach, the coach from the same team. Okay, somebody from the same team as the guy you fighting. You go to ADCC and I don't know. ADCC can be Mo sponsoring the guy you fight. Is that impartial? You fighting the guy that Mo's been sponsoring for the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So none of these tournaments are impartial. So as a competitor, you gotta have that in your mind. All right, these coaches, not the coach, the judges, the table staff, the referees, they not on your side. You fighting against them too. So you gotta have that mentality, people. And if somebody say they're gonna give you $1 million, make sure you get that in writing and get that money up front. Get that money